Welcome to the Discover Your Potential podcast hosted by me, Alexis Nolan. In this podcast, I talk with people who have achieved their potential and share insights and advice for how to achieve your own. I share stories from diverse experiences and backgrounds with the hope that you can take these learnings and apply it for yourself. In this episode of Discover Your Potential, I am joined by Rich Gibbens. He's a United States Army veteran and has since built an expansive real estate portfolio and recently launched the Rich Gibbens Podcast, where he shares insightful conversations with industry leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs. Today, we're going to peel back the onion a bit and get to know the man, Rich, that you've made yourself through passion and purpose. And so with that, I want to thank you for joining the podcast. I want to congratulate you on your recent engagement. Shout out. And I'll give the forum over to you. I want to, hear a little bit about you in your own words, your experience, and what you've been up to.
First and foremost, Alexis, thank you so much for having me on. I love what you're doing over here in your world. For meeting at the boardwalk in LA just a few short years ago, just on a random whim, and just watching you grow. It's really awesome to see. And shout out to my lady, Allie Waller, for saying yes after all the hard work. The weight is lifted. I'm good. No more. I don't have to lie or cover up secrets anymore. So, yeah.
That's a big relief.
Yeah, quite the relief now. Like, she's all pumped. I'm like, sweet. Like, that's good. So yeah, as Alexis stated, I am an Army veteran. I served active duty from 2007 to the end of 2011. Went to Iraq for a year. I was in Afghanistan for another 5 months. Got out, and I was kind of lost for a bit. I was working as a electrician in the IBEW, so as a union tradesman, yep. And stumbled into real estate in 2016 and made the leap of faith into entrepreneurship, business owner. You wake up to your own alarm clock, and it's been a steady growth over the last several years. I partnered with a friend of mine and was running his team for the last 4, where I was really able to stand on the shoulder of giants, per se, where, he had all this extensive background. He's a broker. He's the owner of our office. And I was like, man, I need to be right next to you. Let me learn how to operate. Yeah. And I recently left that to do my own, start my own team, maybe. I had different life goals. We went in different directions, and keeping the relationship was more important than trying to fight through whatever we had going on. So
for sure,
maintain that relationship and continue our own. We have 2 other businesses together. So, hey, this one, all right, we can put that on pause. And yeah, now I get to spread my wings and fly. So,
and you started a podcast, which is awesome in itself too. I mean, that's a huge feat.
Yeah. We've kicked off the Rich Gibbens Podcast. I've recorded over 9 episodes. I have 3 more recording this week, but they'll be coming out every Monday. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Rich, again, like I said, it's awesome to have you here. Like, I love this podcast, and I love podcasting for a couple of reasons. Like, there's always something to learn from somebody. And I think your podcast is somewhat very similar, where you're sharing very insightful conversations from people who have achieved a ton. And so just even having this forum for us, U.S. veteran, thank you so much for your service, and just to go and to start something new, and you're just kind of a go-getter. You're just like going after your thing. And so I want to take like a step back into kind of failure. Like, this is something that comes up a lot when you start new ventures. It's like you have that fear of failing. You have that fear of not succeeding. And so what does failure look like to you, and how do you handle it?
So I don't really believe in failure. Failure only happens when you quit. And there have been things I've quit, and okay, did I fail, or did I just learn and move on from those things? Yeah. We do trip and fall. We get bruised and scraped up. It's like riding a bike. Like, how many times do you keep trying, right? And one thing they taught us in the military was to be like a tennis ball. And you're going to hit the ground, but it's how you bounce back up. And that's what we call resiliency. And so, through my childhood, grew up in abuse, drugs and alcohol were around. I was in and out of juvenile hall a lot of my high school years, and then into foster care. And then I sprinkled a couple wars on top of it, and then an addiction, right? Yeah. And then it was like overcoming those things. And I got to give it up to God. I'm a very big man of faith, recently baptized too. And, failure it's one of those 4-letter words. It's a little bit longer than 4, but if you don't like something, it's okay to learn and move on and grow from it and say, okay, well, I didn't really care for that experience. I wasn't as purposeful in that as what I thought I'd be. Sure. And from failures, you can only fail if you quit. And the only people that are successful failed so many more times than I did. So many more times. They fell down harder. And when you get higher levels, your decisions you make are more monumental, right? Yeah. For instance, just being engaged. Right? You're married, right? And how many relationships did you go through till you found the one?
Right.
Were they failures, or did you learn?
Right.
So if we can compartmentalize or make things a little bit smaller, it's easier for me. I'm a simple man. I'm simple-minded. Like, all right, cool. I just want to go this way. This is what I want to do.
Black and white.
And this is how I'm going to get there.
Yeah. And
what I found also with failure is if you don't plan to succeed, expect that you plan to fail.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have a plan, you're already set up for failure as it is.
100%. Right? Like if you have a weight loss goal and you're just saying, all you do is throw something at the wall. Oh, I want to lose some weight. Well, first we have to define that weight. Then we have to start working our plan of action. Okay, is it a pound a week? Okay, is it 20 pounds total? So a pound a week. So in half a year, I can be down 20 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that quote, failure to plan is planning to fail, right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And another four-letter word that comes to mind as you speak to failure is that grit, right? You talk about resiliency. I think about grit and just like that willingness to just get up, keep going, like don't give up. Like, and when you talk about failure too, I would love to hear a lesson, right? Like you talked about failure, you have a perceived failure, you're in the moment and you're like, fuck, like I'm really down on this. But when has that been an opportunity for you to turn that into a valuable lesson?
Oh man. So one of my biggest failures was I was introduced to cocaine, and I didn't realize my addictive personality that was going to be something I was chasing and chasing and chasing. And I found myself cold, dark, alone, single. I thought I was going to be with somebody else, and they left one day just out of the blue. And I'm so grateful that happened, because you lose those things that you hold dear at different points of your life. Right. And now I know that I just don't do that anymore. And so once I threw that away, it's been over 3 years, God turned that light back on. I was like, hey man, now I'm qualified to talk about that. I could have many conversations where I was qualified to have conversations about. And then this one comes in. Okay, cool. Well, I can share my story with the world, with my friends, and say, hey, you know what? I've been there. Yeah. And here's what happened. Oh, how'd you quit? Well, I'm simple man, simple-minded. I just threw it away and said no.
Cold turkey.
Cold turkey. For me, that's the only way to go. But that's not for everybody. That's not everybody's walk. But for me, I didn't realize it was an issue until it was.
It's too late, right?
So big. Yeah. Cutting off relationships and cutting off friendships, almost losing my house twice. Right? Like, you'd think I would have learned after the first one, but no, I needed to get hit a little bit harder. So I mean, talk about challenging times, right? Like it took a lot to really. I went to therapy back in 2014 because my family drugged me there, and they said, "Hey, you got to go to the VA. You need help." And so I did the dance. I said, "Okay, cool, I'll go." I was messing around the whole time. I would tell them whatever they wanted to hear, and I'd go back and I'd be drinking and partying all the time. And then it came to a point where, "Hey, man, it's lonely out there. What's going on in your world?" And I had to look in a mirror. And somebody challenged me during this time and said, hey, when's the last time you said you loved yourself? And I was like, I don't know. What do you mean? They're like, have you looked in the mirror and told yourself that I love you? And I was like, nope, I've never done that. And I love challenges. So I went and did it. And oh my God, I broke down.
How uncomfortable was that, right?
That first one? Oh my goodness. I was like, dude, you can't even say it. You start trembling, you're shaking. At least for me, I was shaking. I was like, wait. And then I was able to do it, and then I did it a few more times. Now I can look at myself, and even if I'm having a hard moment, be like, hey man, I love you. You're okay.
Yeah.
Wake up. And you said the 4-letter word grit right there. And that's my word for 2024. I've been through a lot this year, which, I mean, if you haven't been through a lot in halfway through a year, like, are you doing anything? You should be going through a lot. That's the beauty of life, is going through a lot. You only have one of these things. Make it awesome. Make it the best.
Yeah, I love that. And it's awesome that you said you have a word of the year. This is actually something that my friends and I have. We all, at the beginning of every year, what's your word? How'd you do on your word from last year? And so why grit? How did you come to this word?
That's a wonderful question. Wonderful question. So I started experiencing some things last year with the team that I was running that I wasn't fully prepared to happen. Me and my buddy have been so tight for quite a while that it was like, all right, we're just going this direction. And in the fourth quarter, a couple things happened. One of my coaches and I were talking, and I kept telling her, I was like, you know what, if I have my spirituality in order and my physicality in order, I'm unbreakable.
Yeah.
Right? And with the word unbreakable comes back with the word grit. Yeah. And I was starting to see some patterns and some behaviors that they weren't in culture for me. I was like, all right, we're going to have to punch through this thing, right? So I went through it. I went through the ringer for a little bit to start the year, just on this side. Everything else is going great, and this thing over here is painful.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I hear a lot of challenging times, right? Your upbringing itself, obviously going to Afghanistan and Iraq, like, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay disciplined to see through these challenges, to see through the addiction? And how do you get yourself to get up and keep going?
So for me, this might not be for everybody, but I had an experience when my father beat me the first time, like really bad, when I was in first grade in Oregon, and he was on top of me and smacking the hell out of me, and I was crying as a kid, and it snapped in me. I was like, nope, we're not going to cry anymore right now. So I stopped crying and finished it up. Then I went to my bed and I cried. And I didn't realize till later on how motivational that piece is. I love my father. We have a great relationship. We don't see eye to eye, and that's fine. We don't have to. I just have to have immense love for him. Without him, I wouldn't be here, right? That was my darkest moment, and I lived. You know, I've been blown up, been shot at, like the addiction thing, all this stuff, heartbroken, all that. Mm-hmm. I went through the hardest thing early on in my life, where the person that's supposed to protect me and love me wasn't. And he was my superhero until then.
Yeah, of all things too.
When I feel like out of it or down, like, I don't want to make the calls, or, oh man, I'm tired. No, I'm not. Like, it could always be worse. I have a great life. God has gifted me with amazing things, amazing friendships. What more could I ask for? And if I want to bring life into this world later on, well, now the tables have changed a little bit since last week. It's like, well, now I got some bigger fish to fry here. So, but yeah, just keeping the end goal in mind, understanding where I've come from, and other people have it just as hard, if not worse. Mm-hmm. Who am I to say, oh, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah.
No way.
You said it's never going to be as bad, right? Like I think that's one heck of a reminder to get yourself, be like, it is not as bad as it was. So make the most of this. Yeah. Unlock that potential. Get going.
If you've already been through it, guess what? It can't hurt you again.
Yep.
It can't. It'll keep hurting if you don't deal with it, of course, right? And if you think on it and dwell on the negative side of it, totally understand how people can relate that. For me, I've already been through the ringer. It's only up. So I'm like, it's like a rocket ship. Let's go.
You're cruising right now.
Let's spread the good word. Let's be good humans, right? Yeah. And it just come with love and compassion.
And I love that.
Jordan Peterson says it amazing when he's like, you need to be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you need to know how to control them. So I went through those monster stages. Now I'm like, oh, well, that's not even worth my time to argue about. This relationship will fix itself. It will resolve. I might be upset for a second. I might hang on to it a little bit, but reacting in that has never been a positive. You can never have a positive acting out of a negative mindset.
Yeah. You've done a lot of, just an observation, a lot of kind of self-awareness work, right? I feel like as a forcing function, maybe you've had to see what your triggers are, kind of what causes an addiction or what causes you to go down a rabbit hole. And there's so much value in that, because now that allows you to be laser focused. Like something can happen, your switch is really quick, really immediate. Nope, not going to engage. Or yes, this is something that I'm going to do. Like you've just implemented this self-awareness around you. And I mean, I love that type of work. I think just getting to know yourself is going to help you direct your moral compass, your business, whatever it is, in the right direction. And so when I think about your focus, Rich, help me know what strategies that like you have or that you go through. I mean, you know, when you have external distractions, what is your strategy to just like, nope, not engaging, staying on target?
Yeah, so we see this a lot. Our generation, actually, I think our generation is getting a little bit over this whole scrolling thing.
Yeah.
If you're scrolling for an hour, 2 hours a day, how's that serving you? You're either comparing or you're contrasting, right? You're trying to figure out, trying to get these dopamine hits when we should just be loving the journey. You only have one of these lives. I've said that just recently too, but like you only have one of these things. And if you count up the hours a week that you're spending mindlessly scrolling, and you just multiply that by 52, just do 1 year. And you will be so frustrated with how much time you wasted, right? It's so important to realize how much time we're spending on these devices that really we don't get any positive gain from. You see the echo chambers, you see all this back and forth, all this negativity. How is that serving you? How is that serving you as a human being, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll catch myself too. I'm human. I scroll, right? I just posted my stuff from this weekend.
It's like I scroll through your podcast content. Is that like that's cool?
Yeah, check out that stuff. Check out Yeah. Discover your potential and then the podcast. Just scroll through that. But you know, if you just, like you said, self-awareness, right? If you're scrolling, first of all, you're not paying attention to what you're doing and what's around you. Right? So put that down. Put the phone down. Get off the laptop, whatever you're on. Put it down, and then just like think about your life. What I like to do is like, okay, if what I'm doing today is going to serve me in 3 years, then I want to do it. I want to continue down that path. If I look back 3 years and notice what I was doing, was it serving or was it contributing to any positivity or anything like that? If it wasn't, then I eliminate those things. I eliminate those relationships. And I don't mean like end a relationship, like with friends or anything like that.
Sure.
But compartmentalize the relationship. If these friends are the partiers and you say, I don't want to party, you get up, put your chair in, and you go to the other table. You find a table that's serving you, that you can also help serve.
Good analogy. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, you
just pick up your chair and just go to another table. A way that I think about it too is pluses and minuses. Is this going to be a plus experience, like a positive experience for me and kind of take me on what I have my sights set on, or is this a negative experience, just plus and minus, and then add those up over time. You'll get an idea of kind of what direction you're heading in, right?
100%. And if you're not doing that, I definitely challenge you to do that, right? Like, take a look at your life. Do you like it? Is this everything you wanted it to be at this point? Cool. Where do you want to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? And what's serving you to get there? Because otherwise, you're going to stay right where you're at, and you're going to end up on your deathbed one day, and you're going to have a lot of regrets.
No doubt. Yeah. And I think something you alluded to earlier too is the scrolling. I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago in an article, but consumption, like, are you a consumer or are you producing? This technology it's not going away, right? It's great for so many reasons, to connect and stay in touch with folks. It's fantastic for that. But you've got to be smart and use it to your advantage. Don't just sit there and consume, troll. Oh, the trollers are there's something else, man. But are you producing? Like, the world wants to hear from you. You've got a niche. You may not know it yet, but there's somebody somewhere out there that wants to know what you have to say, that wants to watch and listen to your podcast. And you're never going to know what your potential is until you take action and towards producing and stop consuming and just sitting on your phone all day long. Gosh, it drives me crazy, man.
Yeah, there's another to piggyback on that. I was just talking to one of my coaches, And for those of you who don't know, I have 3 different coaches.
That's awesome.
Right? 3
Nice.
coaches that help me with different ways. And I'm not even talking about my physical coach, right? Like I got 3 coaches that help me with my business, with my mental mindset, and then my weekly goals, my weekly accountability goals.
Cool.
But one of them, her name is Kelly Wiley. She's awesome. She told me, Rich, when you're doing this stuff and when you're talking to people and doing all this, right? Do you know the difference between observe and absorb? And so I made a little video about the kids. They have ratings on these video games and these movies for a reason, because we as adults should be able to look at something and say, oh, that's a movie, right? I'm not going to go act out the movie. Heat is the example. But I love that scene. I'm observing the scene. I'm not going to go absorb it and go do that. Right. I'm going to observe it, and boom, that's going to sit right there. That no weight on my mind. When you start reading comments, you start reading, these negative things on social media or seeing negative videos or anything like that. And if you can't just observe, but you're absorbing it too, you're going to have an issue.
I like that one a lot. Are you observing or absorbing? Yeah, because there's a difference between entertainment and educational, right? It's kind of similar concept. That's neat.
Totally.
I'm going to take that one too.
Have at it. That's what we're here for, is to grow and learn together, right? And hopefully your listeners and your viewers are really paying attention. I think you have such a wonderful message and such a good heart and good light to put out in the world. Like, they're blessed to be able to watch you, I promise.
Appreciate it, Rich. And likewise, from our brief time together at the Santa Monica Boardwalk, just like your personality is just so bubbly. It portrays so well in your podcast too, by the way. You've talked about a couple of, you've got coaches, right? You've got some key people in your life. Whether it's them or other folks, how have these connections, and what role have they played in your success? How have they made you successful? What role have they played in your success?
So we talk about the word try. I don't believe in try. I believe in the acronym try. The acronym try. The real you.
Ooh, okay.
So when you really want to go do something, you're like, oh, I want to try to do that. Well, the real you wants to. So go let that blossom. Let that grow. Give it a shot. If you like it, keep going. You're going to find out. So it's going from the try mindset, like, oh, I want to do this, just do it. And they help push that. I put down my weekly goals, I put down my monthly goals, my quarterly goals, my yearly goals, and they held me accountable every week. All 3 of them. Boom. Hey, how'd you do on this? How'd you do on this? How'd you do on this? Do you really want to write? Because it's been 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Do you really want to podcast? Because we've been talking about this for a little bit. Hey, do you want to buy this investment property? Do you really want to flip properties? Do you really want to buy a rental? And so having that high level of accountability, first, self-awareness, second, accountability.
Cool. They're keeping you in check. They're keeping you on your goals. The accountability piece is big, because I mean, as a podcaster, especially doing this virtually, I'm responsible for myself. No one else is checking up and being like, hey, did you publish your episode? Did you do the editing? Did you post it? This is all just personal accountability. And that's one of the hard things. And I think having a coach is tremendous for a lot of those reasons. But another theme too is they're making you aware of the real you. I like that. Try the real you. They're reminding you what you signed up for, who you signed up to be, and they're holding you accountable to that. I think the real you, I love that one too. You're coming to the table with all the acronyms today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what they're doing, right? We look at this thing every day called a mirror, and they're holding it up to me, saying, hey, bud, you wrote these here. Where are you? Did you do this? Should we just delete it off your goals for next week? Because it's been 2 weeks, man. What are you going to do? And I really love that, because it's gut-wrenching at times, because we think we're great. But I'll tell you what, if I hit 60%, 70% of my weekly goal, I dominated that week.
Yeah. You've got a laundry list, don't you? You've got like a whole thing.
Yeah, it's great. It's important to have, we only have one of these lives. You only have one. How great do you want to make it? Right? I love Ed Milet, The Power of One More. That's one of my favorite books. I've read it like 4 or 5 times, listened to another 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And I'm the one in my family. I get to be the one. I want to carry that cross. I want to be the one, the picture on the fireplace mantle, 3, 4 generations from now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's our great grandpa. He did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Have that legacy. Oh, I love that. I love that. And so I'm curious too, like, how did you meet your coaches, and what was the process of making sure these were the right people that were going to hold you accountable?
So one coach was my previous business partner that I just left on our real estate team. Right?
Okay.
We're great friends. We're awesome, and he's got that high level of skill that I'm like, oh, well, I definitely aspire to be like that.
Yeah.
And own some brokerages and all that. And we just built this bond. Like, I help him in other ways. He helps me keep accountable. I help in fitness and some mindset stuff, and saying, hey, dude, no matter what, like, we keep going onward. I'm not wearing my onward hat today, but it's one of my favorite words.
Shout out.
But yeah, exactly. But he's very real, and we have some property together, and we have some business together, and it's like, hey, how are these things looking? How are your we always start with personal. We always go personal first. Like, hey, how is this going? Boom, boom, boom. Right? Because it doesn't matter. The purpose of business is to fund a perfect life. Right?
Sure.
So, like,
Sure.
how good is your life looking? Are you doing the things for you also? And then we go into that. But he's just been phenomenal for me there. The other coach, Kelly Wiley, she's been assigned to me through MAPS coaching through Keller Williams.
Okay.
I had one coach to start, and I had him for like a year, and then I was getting super frustrated because it was like just this mindset stuff. And I was like, hey, dude, like, I'm good. I need the business side now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's go over here. He's like, oh, well, what would you say if you did know the answer? Dude, I'm not. We've played this game for a while now. Let me go here. But I went to another coach. He left coaching to do his real estate investment journey, where he teaches people how to go from 0 to 1.
Okay.
And because that's always that's the hardest hurdle, is getting 0 to 1. And then so I got assigned another coach, Kelly Wiley, and she's been with me for 7 or 8 months, and she runs a super awesome business out of Ohio. She's like, all right, Rich, here's this, this, and this. She helped me navigate how to have the good conversations about this problem that I was having, how to navigate it professionally, and say, okay, cool. Well, if you come at somebody, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to put their guard up, and they're going to punch back. So ask questions, right? But and then the other coach I went through, Brendan Bouchard, his growth day coaching, and then I signed up. I was like, dude, I got to go. I got to do this. Like, help me move this forward. So I did a 16-week step there, and then I just hired another coach with Tom Ferry, who's very good, #1 real estate coach in the country. Yeah. And so I just went to one of his events last week and just signed up. So I haven't met my new coach yet, but.
Okay. But you're a go-getter. You're making sure you're making all the right connections. You're just trying to surround yourself. Yeah, no, but you're on your way to it. You know what I mean? Like you know exactly what you need to do to get the resources that you need, and surround yourself with the exact right people that feel and have the same values as you do, that are going after this. I mean, connection is everything, Rich. I mean, it truly is. And having that support that's mutual, like they have something to learn from you, you have something to learn from them. I mean, connections truly goes a long way. And you're just going for it. You're reaching out to folks. You're making sure that they're getting time with you. You're getting time with them. It's awesome.
Sit at the right table.
Sit at the right table. Yeah.
If you want to own a business, whether it's plumbing or electrical or real estate or podcasting or authoring or, having an online e-commerce or whatever, go find people that do that.
Yeah.
Ask them questions, sit next to them, be with them, get in their circle, right? You're the sum of the 5 people. We all know that one. You're the sum of the 5 people that you hold closest, right? Who are you around? So I want to be around greatness. If I want to be great, I need to go seek greatness. I want to find other millionaires, multimillionaires, and who's doing what, who's who in the zoo, as my dad would say, right? Who's doing go with them, go sit with them, go help them, go find out how I can be a tribute to their world as I seek guidance and counseling through that.
For sure. The mentorship aspect and even just apprenticeship. I've heard of so many stories of people who have taken like writing apprenticeships. This author, Ryan Holiday, is one of my favorites. He took an apprenticeship from Robert Greene of all, and so it's having those people that you idolize and that you look up to. They don't have it all figured out, but they're sure going to help you get a couple stepping stones along the way. And then my follow-up question to that too, Rich, is you're go-getting, you're making connections, you're finding the right people. What advice would you give somebody who's just starting out in a new venture? Maybe they've just like did some work to have some self-awareness. Okay, this is what I want to do. What's your advice to building a strong network, a strong circle?
Oh, another amazing question there. The first thing that pops into my mind is give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. You're not going to have it figured out. You're not going to figure it out on day one, right? It's the 10,000 hours thing. Give yourself some grace. Yeah. Set some really good goals. Set your goals. Take your goals that you set and then double them and then double them one more time. And then work back. Okay, cool. If I want to sell 20 homes this year, okay, well, we know November and December, you're not going to close anything, right? So you have 10 months to close 2 deals a month. How simple is that? So break it down to where you're not looking at this huge number that's scary. Yeah. Break it down. You're like, oh, well, okay, so if I only need to close 6 to 8 deals a quarter, and you break it down, right? It's like, in the Army, we said break it down Barney style. Make it as simple as possible, right? Yeah. We say KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid, all this stuff. Yeah. Right? And there's actually a lot of weight there that, we get convoluted so much in like our minds, like, oh my goodness, am I good enough? Am I doing all this? Am I going to be successful? Who cares? Enjoy the journey, right? It's not about the end result, it's about the journey. But be gracious, be kind to yourself. You're the most important person in your world. No one will love you more than you do. Not even your mom. Not even you. Speak kindly to yourself. Have a little grace. Set big goals, and then double them. Yeah,
I love that. Set big goals and then double them. It's like, how many opportunities have you had to, like on LinkedIn, for example, I follow, C-suites of huge companies, and I just remember sending a message like, hey, I love what you're doing. I think it's amazing, everything that you've accomplished in your career. Can I have 30 minutes just to talk to you and understand kind of how you got there? And you'd be surprised at how many people will take you up on that. Like, it's the same thing with forming connections and kind of setting those goals and breaking it down. Make one new connection a week, or make one new a month if you want to go a little bit more conservative with it. But, just like being easy on yourself, knowing that this is going to take time. The right people are going to take time. You have to form those relationships. It's going to take some effort and all that, but don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and because you just never know what's going to happen. Look at you and me. We met on a boardwalk in Santa Monica. Exactly. You started a podcast, and I was like, I want to do what you're doing. Come on my podcast. Like, let's chit chat, it's cool how it works like that.
100%. God is so good. He's so perfect. Another thing real quick, most people at those high level C-suite positions, other multimillionaires that are, in successful business, you don't see them often punched down. When you're scrolling mindlessly and looking at the comments, who's saying the negative stuff? It's everybody down at the bottom, just mixed in this convoluted, toxic area. Yeah. Once you start seeing that these people that have worked their tails off to get up here, they're often pretty kind. Yeah. Right? They might not give you 30 minutes. They might give you 10 minutes and say, hey, Alexis, I just want to see you do great. Do this for a year. Mark me down for next June, and I'll come on if you're still doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. They're all about support.
Yeah. That's what I've seen a lot of. Like, the people that are punching each other are on the bottom. Yeah.
That's a good, true. Yeah. Super good point. I think, they're just all about support. They've been through the journey. They know what it takes. And it all goes back, kind of circling back to our beginning conversation with failure. You don't see all of their failures. You just see success. You see them for the pinnacle of the accomplishments that they've had. You don't see all the failure. And so, just a message to to our audience and to our peers is just like, don't ever put somebody down, because what they're feeling at right now, it may not always be that way. You know what I mean? It just takes one try to succeed and to blow up. It takes one podcast video to blow up for you to, you know what I mean? So I think just creating and fostering this environment of supporting other people, and helping them achieve their goals. I mean, it's all you can ask for, right? Just what goes around comes around.
We are community. We are all human.
Yeah.
We all can connect in some way, shape, or form. Just ask good questions, be a good person, show the light.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask good questions, be a good person. I like that. I want to end it with there, Rich. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your experience in your own words. I know we talked to some really good questions, and there's so much in your professional life that could be a whole nother episode, but to peel back the onion and just be, very candid, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.